This is the Ford Fiesta, the UK's best-selling car for many, many years. But why? And should you buy one? Well, if you're interested in the Ford Fiesta but just want to know a bit more about it, then you've come to the right place. Because in this video, we're going to tell you absolutely everything you could possibly wish to know about the Fiesta. And not only are we going to do that, we're going to tell you how to spec one, and we can save you £1,500 off a brand new Ford Fiesta as well. To find out more, click on the link in the description below or on the pop-out banner somewhere up there. And please make sure that you're subscribed to our YouTube channel because we've got loads and loads of great new videos coming out every single week. So the Fiesta is now in its 7th generation, and inevitably competition is tougher than ever. It includes the likes of, brace yourselves, the Seat Ibiza, the Volkswagen Polo, Skoda Fabia, Kia Rio, Hyundai i20, Honda Jazz, and there are even some posher versions of the Fiesta that push its price up against the likes of the Audi A1 and the Mini. But the Fiesta has comfortably outsold all of them. But this isn't a popularity contest, because to be a good car and to be one that we recommend, it's got to be a good car on a purely objective level. Although, having said that, there is one subjective area that is entirely down to you, and that's the car's looks. So we want to know, what's the best looking small car on sale? Vote in our poll. Is it the Ford Fiesta, the Volkswagen Polo, the Mini, or the Kia Rio? And also, it's worth pointing out that you can see we've got a 3-door Fiesta here. You can also get a 5-door, and it's rare to have both of those options available. Yes, the Mini is available in 3-door and 5-door, but beyond that, most cars now are only available in 5-door versions. So that is one slight niche that the Fiesta is available to offer. However, we are back to pure objectivity now, and the car's interior. By the class standards, it's pretty nice in the Fiesta. So you have some soft touch materials on the dashboard, and although it's only in select places, you still don't find any of that in a Fabia or in an Ibiza, which have these hard, scratchy plastics pretty much all over the dashboard. However, having said that, it is only in select places in the Fiesta, so there are cheaper feeling places like the aircon buttons and dials down here, which feel a bit on the cheap side. So a Mini or a VW Polo does feel like a clear step up in plushness, but it's still, as we say, by class standards, pretty good inside this Fiesta. This infotainment system also is fairly impressive. It's an 8-inch screen, and it's quite responsive, although it isn't as intuitive and as simple to use as the system that you get in the Ibiza and in the Polo. And our main complaint with it is that you don't get physical shortcut buttons to hop between the different menus. So, okay, you can change your tracks, you can pause it, you can turn it up and down with these buttons down here, but to access the different menus, you've got to go in through the screen. It does have a slightly complicated layout, and it is occasionally frustrating to use. It is good that you get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard. Now, the driving position, you do actually sit noticeably higher up in the Fiesta than you do in many other small cars, so that's kind of a subjective thing. You might prefer the low slung driving position in the Mini, but the Fiesta certainly is higher up. But height aside, it's really tough to knock the driving position here because it's excellent. So there's lots of adjustment in the steering wheel. The seats have good adjustment too, and they are brilliantly supportive in ST line. These seats here just give you so much support through the bends, it's really noticeable. And also, if you go for slightly posher trims, then you can get adjustable lumbar support, which is a rare feature to have in this class. Now, I will just point out that these steering wheel controls feel a bit cheap and nasty when you use them. It's just a bit fiddly, not very easy to get your head around. But the leather around the steering wheel is really nice and feels good. And also, the space up front is impressive. So even though outside it's got this kind of sloping, fairly dramatic roofline outside, inside you've got no problem at all with headroom. There's loads up front. Legroom as well is excellent. If you're particularly tall, you can go very, very far back. And also, it's a nice wide interior, so you won't be banging elbows with the person sat next to you, and you won't be knocking them out when you change gear either. So the space up front is good, and the storage space on offer is okay. Down here, the door bins are pretty slim. However, on the center console, you've got some good options. You've got a deep cup holder here and another kind of storage tray with a USB port there. You've got 2 cup holders in front of that, a spot for your key down here, and at the front, another tray for the key or a smartphone. and a glove box, but you can see it's not a brilliant size. That's partly down to this big, empty, rectangular space up here. Now that, believe it or not, is where you can choose to have a CD player in the Ford Fiesta, which sounds like a reasonable request for someone to have, but it costs £200, which is loads of money. And in fact, if you pay me £150, I will come and personally digitise your entire CD back catalogue onto a USB stick, which you can put into the USB port right here. Rear seat space isn't the strongest feature in the Fiesta, and obviously with this 3-door model, it's a bit more of a scramble to get into the back than it is with the 5 doors. But still, a couple of 6-footers will be able to sit back here without too much trouble. Legroom is good. It's pretty similar to what you get in a Polo, but it doesn't quite match the Ibiza. Headroom is pretty generous, although not as generous as those rivals again. Plus, we'd also say, make sure you avoid the optional panoramic sunroof if you're going to be carrying passengers in the back, because it eats into a lot of the headspace, and it does in the front as well. And also, this middle seat is pretty slim by class standards, so 3 adults in the back will be a squeeze. Need a big boot? Well, we managed to fit 5 carry-on size suitcases into the back of the Fiesta, which isn't bad at all. Although a Seat Ibiza and Volkswagen Polo and of course a Honda Jazz will all offer more space. So if practicality is really your main priority, they might be the better ones to go for.
Dropping the rear backrests leaves an annoying step in the floor of the Fiesta's extended load bay, but you can help this with the optional height adjustable boot floor. Set in its highest position, this also reduces the otherwise substantial loading lip at the boot's entrance.
But how expensive is the Fiesta, and what's it like to run one? Well, these are the key things that you need to know about buying and owning a Ford Fiesta. If you're hoping the Fiesta will be a budget option, then you'll be mildly disappointed. Compared to rivals like the Skoda Fabia, it's actually quite pricey. However, discounts are impressive, especially the ones that you can get on whatcar.com, and the Fiesta should hold on to its value better than many other rivals. But if you choose to buy your Fiesta on a monthly PCP finance deal, as many small car buyers do, then it's more expensive than the likes of the Polo and the Fabia. On the plus side, the Fiesta is cheaper to run than many rivals as a company car, and monthly leasing rates are temptingly low too. As for the trims, there are lots to choose from. The entry-level grade is called Trend, then you've got Titanium, Titanium X, ST-Line, ST-Line X, and the all-singing, all-dancing, range-topping Vignale versions. But they are very expensive. So instead of going for a Vignale, we would stick with the ST line because of the Fiesta's fun driving nature, which we'll talk more about in a minute. There's also the active versions of the Fiesta, which features an 18mm higher ride height and some extra cladding around the wheel arches. But unless you need the extra ground clearance or really like the look of it, then there's no real reason to choose it over the standard versions of the Fiesta. And don't forget about the performance-focused Fiesta ST, which is one of the most impressive hot hatches around. To read more on that model, click on the link in our description. Ford has a decent reliability record, and every Fiesta comes with a warranty that covers it for 3 years or 60,000 miles, which is pretty much what most other cars in the class get.
All Fiestas come with 7 airbags and lane keeping assistance, but it's disappointing that automatic emergency braking isn't standard on any trim. It's part of an options pack instead. It's also currently not available at all on ST models, although that should change by the end of the year. Every Fiesta also comes with Ford's My Keys system. It's a programmable ignition key that can be used to limit the car's top speed, mute the sound system, and prevent the stability control system from being disabled. This should give you some peace of mind if you decide to hand the keys to somebody who has recently passed their driving test, or someone that you just don't trust.
The Fiesta might be a small car, but in some ways it's more fun to drive than some sports cars. And the reason for that is the incredibly sharp handling and this really precise, meaty, well-weighted steering that is just so much better than anything else in the class. And really it's the Fiesta's ability to put a smile on your face during even the most mundane journey that makes it so enduring and so appealing. And really that's been one of the great draws of this car over the years and something that's really helped it become the sales success that it is. Now we're in an ST line Fiesta, and that gets a lowered, stiffer sport suspension setup, and really this brings out the best in the Fiesta. So if you're interested in handling, then you are going to want an ST line Fiesta because it's even grippier, it's more agile, and it will embarrass anything else in the class through the corners, even the Seat Ibiza, which is the second best handling car in the small car class. Don't forget there is still the Fiesta ST, which is a range-topping, performance-focused version, and that is even more agile and even more impressive. But this ST line is a good kind of halfway house if you want hot hatch handling, but not necessarily the big fuel bills that come with having a more powerful engine.
The entry-level 1.1 litre petrol engine is called the 1.1 Ti VCT and has just 84 brake horsepower, so it feels a bit gutless on faster roads. It's certainly worth opting for one of the pokier, turbocharged 1 litre EcoBoost engines.
There are a variety of different outputs, starting with the 1 litre EcoBoost 100. Now, that's a fine engine. Around town it feels peppy and it's fine on longer motorway journeys as well. But we reckon the sweet spot of the range is the engine that we're driving now, and that's the 1 litre EcoBoost 125. The reason it's the pick of the range is because it offers stronger acceleration than the EcoBoost 100 for not a lot more money. And then above them, you've got an EcoBoost 140, which is a little bit faster again, and worth a look if you want something that's pretty quick. Although, worth bearing in mind that obviously it will cost more money to buy and to run.
There are also two 1.5 litre TDCi diesel engines available in the Fiesta, but you'll have to do seriously high mileage to justify their significantly higher purchase price. For most people, the decently frugal EcoBoost engines make more financial sense.
The accelerator, the brake and the clutch are all really nice to use and they feel really positively weighted. So it means that driving smoothly is very easy, and when you're driving a bit quicker as well, it feels really satisfying. Likewise, this 6-speed manual that comes as standard on every engine apart from the entry-level petrol, which gets a 5-speed manual, it's really impressive, really slick and precise and just generally great to use. Even that 5-speed manual on the entry-level petrol, that's pretty good as well.
One of the most appealing things about the Fiesta is how it combines small car fun with big car sophistication, and that's true of the way it rides. Steer clear of the larger optional alloy wheels, and the Fiesta deals well with the sort of nasty sharp-edged bumps and potholes that are all too common on British backroads. Indeed, it's only the Volkswagen Polo that can trump it for comfort.
We mentioned before that ST line models get a lowered, stiffer sports suspension setup, which is great for the handling. Not so for the ride, although it's not disastrous by any means at all, because all it means is you feel a bit more of the bumps as they pass beneath you, but it's still brilliantly well controlled. So you're absolutely not bouncing around all over these backcountry roads when you're driving quickly in the ST line models. All that happens is you'll hit a bump, you notice it slightly more, but then the car regains its composure so quickly afterwards that you hardly notice it at all. So you've heard our thoughts on everything to do with the Ford Fiesta, and now we're going to tell you exactly how to spec it if you want the best version. Go for this 1 litre EcoBoost 125 engine with ST line, because it's the best engine and you get loads of kit as standard. Add the driver assistance pack and you get a 4.2-inch information screen in the instrument cluster, and you also get adaptive cruise control and automatic emergency braking. This car doesn't have it, but adjustable lumbar support is a very reasonably priced extra. Adding the adjustable boot floor will help iron out this annoying lip at the front of the boot, and it also means when the rear seats are flat, it will create a large open space. Metallic paint adds value to the car, so it will give you more money when you sell it on. Choosing the City Pack adds rear parking sensors, folding door mirrors and small lights that illuminate the ground around the door. Now, it's easy to see why the Fiesta is so popular. It's brilliant to drive, smart inside and well equipped. But is it the best in class? Not quite, because the Volkswagen Polo might not be quite so good to drive, but it's a better all-rounder and it offers better value too. If you want to buy any of those cars, then go to whatcar.com to get the best deal, and please make sure that you're subscribed to our channel because we have great videos coming out every single week.